Hi, I'm Alicia and welcome to my channel Papercraft Secrets. Today I'm sharing a double layout featuring the Stamperia Hortensia paper collection. This is a double layout that I've created for a scrapbooking and papercraft store in Adelaide called Paper Flourish. Paper Flourish are going to be holding this class at their store in Adelaide, and they'll also have kits that they can send to you at your home address. The lovely Beck will be teaching this class at Paper Flourish. Please contact the store for details about the class times and for information about your kit. Let's get started. You're going to need four 4x6 vertical photographs for this layout. I'm using wedding photographs, but you can use any photographs that you would like. I'm starting with two Purple Palisades basil cardstock. These are two 12x12 pieces of cardstock and the colour is Purple Palisades. The first step is just to trim these two pieces of purple cardstock. Take off your barcode so that you've got two 12x12 pieces of cardstock, and this will become the base of your layout. Next, you're going to choose two papers from the Hortensia collection. I'm choosing this paper first, and I'm going to cut it to 11 3/4 by 11 3/4, and that will allow me to have a nice border of the purple cardstock coming from behind the paper. So that paper's got the lady's head on it, and this paper here has the lady's head on it as well. So I'm going to cut this cardstock, this piece of paper to 11 3/4 by 11 3/4, and they are going to be the base papers for our double layout. I'm going to ink the edges with some purple ink. The ink I'm using is a Kaisercraft ink. Whatever purple ink that you have at home will be fine for this project. Just inking around the edges of the paper. I'm going to put some liquid glue around the edges of this paper, and I'm going to glue that directly down onto the purple cardstock. There's one page there, smoothed down nicely. And now we're going to glue the other page on. Now you can choose any 12x12 page from the paper pad, the Hortensia paper pad. These are the two pages that I've chosen as the base of the layout. So we have our lady's face on the first page and then the purple floral paper on the second page. I'm taking a piece of aqua 12x12 basil cardstock now. We're going to cut two rectangles from this cardstock. They're going to measure 8 inches by 6 inches. So we're going to cut our 12x12 at 8 inches, then we're going to cut it at 6 inches, and that will make another one at 6 inches. So we've got two rectangles measuring 8 inches by 6 inches. This is going to be a layer onto our layout, and here we have another piece of Stamperia Hortensia paper, and we're going to cut this to we're going to have another 2 rectangles, and it's going to measure at 7 3/4 and 5 3/4. So here's our 7 3/4 cut, and then we're going to cut at 5 3/4 and 5 3/4. These papers are going to layer on top of our aqua cardstock, so we're just going to ink the edges. And then we will glue those down onto the aqua cardstock. Now these papers have a beautiful lavender floral feel to them, so they're going to be suitable for a wide variety of photographs. I've chosen wedding photographs of my sister-in-law and my brother's wedding, but you could choose any photographs that you want to scrap. Now you have got an aqua scrap there that we have left over. We're going to cut our aqua scrap in half at 6 inches. This will provide us with 2 6x4 rectangle pieces. We've also got our other scrap here, which we're going to cut to 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. So there's our 3 3/4 mark, there's our 5 3/4 cut, and our 5 3/4 cut. So this is going to provide another layer for interest onto our page. So we are just inking our edges again there with our lavender ink, and then we're going to glue those pages onto the aqua cardstock. So now we have 4 pieces of extra layers that we're going to position in a sort of T design, a lying down T design. So we've got our bigger piece, and then we've got our littler piece coming underneath it. Now we've got some beautiful lace that is in the kit. We're going to cut our lace in half so that it goes further, and we're going to glue it at the top and the bottom of our rectangle layer. So just going to pop a line of glue, and then we're going to layer that on top of the lace, making sure we get that nice and straight. I'm going to do that again to the bottom section of the rectangle. And then we will repeat on the other side, 1 layer of lace at the top. And another layer of lace at the bottom. This adds to the feel of the layout. Creates a shabby chic, romantic sort of feel, and it really suits the pretty papers. Now I'm going to be using some recycled cardboard to add an extra layer of dimension into my layout. You can use recycled cardboard, you could use foam mounting tape, or you could keep your layout completely flat and not use any sort of mounting material. Totally up to you. I'm just trimming down this recycled cardboard and I'm gluing it onto the small layer. There you can see the lying down T, or the T on its side, which will be the base for where we'll put our photographs. I'm actually going to just add some glue to the top of that bit there and put the rectangle on top of the smaller one to create our lying down T. And on that side there. So these are like a mirror image of each other. Whatever you do to one side, you want to do exactly the same to the other. You can actually lie them on top of each other like this to make sure you've got a completely symmetrical design. Make sure that it's even on both sides. I'm happy that that's even on both sides. I'm going to add some more cardboard to the larger 4x6 rectangle now. One for each side. And one for that side. So now they have a nice mounted feel to them. This creates shadow underneath the layer. This is not a very thick and bulky layout, so if you wanted to try using some mounting cardboard underneath, this would still easily fit into an album. I'm just playing around now with the position of my photographs. You can see I've got the 4 portrait 4x6 photographs. They're going to fit perfectly along the top of our layers. I'm actually going to use some stone wash basil cardstock to layer my photographs onto. You're going to need 2 pages of the basil cardstock, and we're going to measure this to 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. So we're going to need 4 rectangles, all measuring 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. We're going to use some recycled cardboard on the back of the stonewash rectangles, but again, your choice. If you don't want to have that mounted look, just use double-sided tape or glue to keep your layout flat. Now that we have our stonewash rectangles in place and ready for our photographs, we're going to add a tiny little bit of lace to the other part of our T intersection layers. So I'm just adding a little bit here at the top and a little bit there at the bottom, and that's just going to pop out from behind our photograph. So a little bit just there at the top, a little bit there at the bottom, and then when our photograph sits on top, we'll just see little pieces of lace popping out from behind the photograph. And on the other side now, a little bit at the top, a little bit at the bottom. And then when our photograph sits there, we won't see those gaps in the lace. I'm ready now to paste down our layers. So I'm going to put glue on the back of that, and I'm positioning that probably about 1 inch from the middle join of the papers. Glue on the other one. Popping the other one down there. Now, if you would like, you can measure with a ruler to ensure that you're happy that your layout is equal and straight and symmetrical. So I'm just using a ruler there, and my measurement is about 2 centimeters. Sometimes that just gives you a little bit of reassurance that you've got that on nice and straight. It's time now to prepare for our photograph mats. I'm going to use my ruler again here just to help me get them in a straight line. Once you are happy with where your photo mats are on your layout, you can glue those down. You can use your ruler again to help you make sure that those are in a nice straight line. Using the liquid glue is an advantage because it allows you a little bit of time to move it around, whereas if you use the tape, you sort of don't have that option of moving it. Now I'm just looking at the placement of my photographs. For the purpose of this layout, I will also replace my photographs with just plain white cardstock, so that will allow you to envisage what your photographs might look like on this layout. So I'm just going to glue down the white cardstock now. You can feel free to glue your photographs onto your layout now. And now the layout's really taking shape. You can see how it's going to look. Now we're up to embellishing the layout. We're going to take this gorgeous ribbon that is available at Paper Flourish. We're going to use this in our layout. I've tied a little bow here. Going to cut that off. Going to make another little bow. For the other corner on the other page. Cut that off. So we have one bow on either side of the layout. I'm going to add some flowers to the bow. So I've got one little flower there and another little flower there that I'm thinking about using. And then I'm going to add the same flowers to the other side. So we're doing sort of a mirror image. Just checking how that's going to look with my photographs. Need to do a little bit of fussy cutting. This is a page in the Stamperia 12 by 12 Hortensia paper pad. There are 2 bird cages on this page. You're going to need to fussy cut out both of the bird cages. One is slightly smaller than the other. Once you've got those cut out, we're actually going to cut them in half so that we can use them. We're going to use some foam dots on the back of the bird cages. This is the small bird cage. I've got some foam dots on the back of it, and I'm going to slip it in slightly under that photograph there. The larger bird cage is going to go on the other side. Now you can't quite see it because the video just slightly cuts it off, but this is going to go under the other photo, an exact mirror image on the other page. Then we've got the other half of the bird cages that we've cut. I'm just playing around with the placement. I'm thinking that maybe that would look nice there. I'm not going to put these ones on the foam squares. I'm just going to pop that in flat in there. So we've cut each one in half so that we can use both sides of it, popping out from behind a photograph. Now just a little more fussy cutting. There's not a lot of fussy cutting in this layout. We're going to use some of the pretty hydrangea flowers. So there's a blue hydrangea there. And there's the purple hydrangea. This is another page from the 12 by 12 Hortensia collection. It's full of sentiments and quotes. We're going to use 2 of these from this page, and you can choose whichever sentiment you like the best or whichever sentiment you feel suits your layout the best. I fussy cut my 2 out, and I'm going to position them with some foam dots at the top of my 2 photographs. Now I've also created another 2 bows from the purple ribbon, and I've chosen another flower. These flowers are particularly nice because they're flat and they're very pretty, and they are available with the ribbon at Paper Flourish. So just adding the foam dots on the other side of the layout. And you can see how the sentiment sort of covers the gap between the 2 photographs. So it's not exactly halfway, but you can see how it's touching both photographs. I just made sure that I trimmed off the stem of each of the flowers. They come with a green stem. You don't want that extra bulk on your layout, so just go through and cut off all of your stems on the flowers so that they're ready to glue on. I'm going to use my hot glue gun to glue on the ribbon and the flowers. A little bit of glue for the ribbon and a little bit of glue for the flower. Now I'm actually going to glue my ribbon and my flower just on top of the bottom of the bird cage on both sides of the layout to create a little cluster there. And I end up only using 1 flower at the bottom of that layout. Remember those hydrangeas that we fussy cut. Well, I've just added those at the top of the purple bow. You can only just see it in the layout, but I've poked that in behind the purple bow, and then I've added a tiny little butterfly to each sentiment. And I've also cut a larger blue butterfly that I'm putting on that bird cage there and on that bird cage there. And that is our completed layout. I hope you enjoyed this class and this tutorial. Remember, make sure that you contact Paper Flourish to sign up for a class with Beck to learn exactly how to make this layout, or to have a kit sent directly to your home address. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love it if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, and have a lovely crafty day.